I'm back with a quick lesson. I'm going to talk about my approach to soloing to different grooves and how my style, or I guess really my approach, adapts and changes to each style. This was a request sent in from a Kickstarter pledger. This was somebody who contributed to the CD that I just released, so this goes out to that person. And I've got queued up a slow blues, and then I also have a rock and boogie, both in the key of E. I'm just going to play cross harp. This comes from the Ultimate Blues Jam Harmonica Edition. And I'll just, for the sake of time, I mean I could go through all sorts of different grooves, but I'm just going to make a few, basically outline a few ideas based on a slow blues and a rock and boogie. Those are the grooves. Of course, if we get into other grooves, it would change even more, but I'm going to point out some pretty obvious and important things that are happening, at least for my approach to adapt to these. And the first one is a slow blues. So I'm just going to play a little bit first. Two important things that happen right off the bat, and there will be a distinct difference between that solo right there and the one coming up. But for me, when I approach a slow I can't talk today. When I approach a slow blues, I'm very aware of leaving space, or I really should say how I leave space. And I think there is more space that I leave, at least when I solo in a slow blues, because you can't rush it. You know, it's blues. You gotta settle in, and a real easy way to rush a slow blues is to play a bunch of fast riffs or continue to play with no space. So, for me, I really like long notes. I have much more opportunity to really stretch out a long note, have a resolve, and then maybe leave some space. Let it sit for a second. And I think those are the major differences. I'm going to throw on a rock and boogie here in the key of E. And you'll see obviously a huge difference in the way I approach this. So there's just, there's more happening, and I feel like it's more comfortable for me to move around a little bit more. I still held some long notes, and I do leave space, but it's in a very different way. So there's a couple different ideas to approaching a slow blues versus a faster kind of rock and blues. You know, when you get into things like a funkier blues, I guess I use a lot more triplets and change up my timing within the solo. So instead of just being in that box with the time, there's more room for long notes followed by you know, you really mess with your timing a lot more in a funkier blues, and that's just what that calls for. So each one's a little bit different. Most important thing you can do, I would say, best advice, would be find the groove. Figure out where the groove is for that song. Make sure that you can really match it, fit in with it well, and you understand what's happening, so that when you branch off and leave that groove, you still kind of have that groove ticking in your head, not just from what you hear everyone playing, but you have the internal kind of groove going while you're soloing. So that's my 2 cents on changing up your style and your approach as you play different styles of blues. No, I should say, sorry, almost killed it. This is a series of a handful of videos, I don't know how many, maybe like 7, 8, 9, maybe more, somewhere around there, that I'll be doing as, like I mentioned, a Kickstarter incentive that I offered was You Call the Shots. So these are ideas sent in from people that supported the CD. Thanks to everybody who did that, and I'll have a bunch more of these videos coming up real soon. I'm going to go get a cup of coffee.